Hello, good evening. So I'm gonna be just waiting for more of y'all to join in before we can start the session. Hi guys, good evening. I hope everyone's having a lovely Wednesday evening. Hi Shilpa. So I'm just gonna wait for a couple more minutes before I loop in our guest for the evening. Hey Vaishnavi, super excited as well. Hey Masrita. So I'm just waiting for our guest for the evening. Right. So today's live session is going to be in honor of Pride Month, and our guest for the evening is Prarthana. Hey Prarthana, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So guys, this is Prarthana. She goes by the handle Shorthead Brown Priya, and so like I said, today's live session is going to be in honor of Pride Month, wherein we're going to be talking to her about her story, the kind of content that she creates, and celebrating Pride. So are you excited, Pratna?
Yes, always. So much fun to talk about being gay. It's my favorite thing to do.
So first things first, like I'm sure everyone is curious to know who is Pratna, like where do you grow up, what do you study? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So, my name is Prarthana. I think you covered that part. And I'm 23. So, I graduated college last year. And yes, I am in Bangalore. I'm born and brought up in Bangalore. I'm like extremely South Indian. I'm so South Indian, I don't even know Hindi properly, actually. So, yeah, it's quite a, quite a trouble. And I'm a chef by profession. So I
Oh,
have a
that's really
yeah,
cool.
I'm looking to start my own baking business, and I hope to get that going in a couple of months. So I graduated from hotel management in a college in Bangalore last year. So yeah, that's what I do.
Super excited for your baking profession now. I mean, all of us, at least in Girls Bars, we love anything to do with food. So
Yeah, I saw you guys had a baking video put up just today, and I was like, oh, that looks
yes,
good. Yeah, I saw that. Looks good.
absolutely. We love anything to do with baking and cooking. All right.
Mm.
So now coming to the big question. So when did
Mm.
you know about your sexual orientation, and did you sort of at any point struggle to accept it?
Yes. So I knew when I was around 13, 14. But I did struggle to accept it. I don't think it's anything that anyone just embraces immediately. So I had like, a couple of years where I was trying to accept it for myself. I was like, am I sure I like girls? Like, maybe I just have like a, close friend for the first time. Maybe it's just something that would go away with time. But the thing is, I always grew up being a tomboy. So, like, I was always sort of othered a lot because of the way that I like to dress and the way that I like to behave, and the interests that I had were a lot more, stereotypically boyish than they were girlish. And when you're going to primary school, like 10 years ago in like a orthodox school in Bangalore, there's a huge like gender divide. You become like a social pariah for talking to the opposite gender. So because I always knew that I was extremely different from an extremely young age, I think when I found out that I'm attracted to women too, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm already like really weird. This is like added weird feature. So this is all like, adding up. It makes sense. So I think when I found out that I was queer, I finally had a word for what I thought was just me being weird all these years. I realized it was just the fact that I was a lesbian, and that made me different because a lot of people weren't open about that stuff. Yeah.
All right. Can you tell us a bit about your coming out story? Did you have support from your family and friends, and how did that
Yeah,
go about?
yeah, I did. I had support from my friends. So, I tested the water by coming out to my friends initially. So I was in high school and we were on like 10th, 11th grade. And, all my friends at the time were all girls who identified at the time as heterosexual. So they had a lot of boy crushes, a lot of boy talk going around and all of that. And I was like, hey, that sounds fun. Like, why? I don't have a crush on any of these boys. I think like my best friend is super cute. I think that other girl in class is so pretty. But somehow, this whole boy, falling for a boy thing wasn't happening for me. So that kind of I'm describing it in a very lighthearted way, but at the time it felt extremely isolating and horrible to go through that. And finally, like I really got tired of carrying that secret around. It was getting too suspicious too with my friends, So I came out to them, and I say this again and again, but like literally all of us used to watch this show called like Pretty Little Liars and stuff like that. And that show had a queer protagonist. She had a coming out story in the show. They portrayed it in a very nice way, positive manner. So seeing gay characters on a television screen really helped us understand better, that it's normal and that it's something that you need to have like, a positive reaction towards, and there's nothing wrong with it. So I feel like the kind of exposure that we had thankfully helped my friends accept it very easily, helped me also accept it a lot better. And yeah, it was very anticlimactic to come out to them, honestly. They were just like, yeah, Pratna, we kind of knew. And I was like, okay, thanks. So yeah,
Well, that's nice because I guess you are lucky and privileged that way because a lot
definitely.
of people aren't for sure.
A lot of people,
And it's quite a
yeah.
difficult world out there to sort of come out and, be accepted. So talking about coming out, what are some of the emotions that a person might go through if they're planning to come out, and what should one be prepared for in case anybody is, planning to come out to their friends and family?
I think it's a whole myriad of emotions, most of them very negative and very scary, especially because a lot of the time when you do come out, you do it you do it alone, especially in a society like ours where it's not something that is very openly spoken about. It's changing, no doubt, but a lot of the time you end up feeling very alone because you're, queer, because you don't see anybody else like you around. To this day, I'm the only person that I know in my family that's openly queer. I have a few more friends now who, identify as queer or as, not heterosexual, but it's still not something that's all that prevalent. We can talk about it. This is a great platform because clearly this is an open platform. There's people joining in the comments, but this is like literally the top tier of acceptance that we could probably expect. A lot of the times it's very, very difficult to come out, very lonely process. You feel a lot of guilt because you keep wondering, why am I like this? It would be so much better if, I wasn't like this. It would be so much better for my family. It'd be so much easier on my friends. Why am I doing this to them? I felt a lot of guilt for that. And I think, you feel so much guilt when you're growing up queer, that, sometimes when people say it's just a phase, you can change being queer. I always think the person who's coming out to you, who identifies as queer, has tried the most to change themselves more than anyone else can possibly try to impose on them. So you can never say that, you can change, because trust me, that person has tried in every capacity of theirs to try to fit in and be normal. It just doesn't happen. So yeah, I would say feelings of isolation, guilt, and a lot of confusion and doubt. Yeah.
And what are some of the difficulties or challenges that one faces after coming out? I'm sure you spoke about loneliness. Like, what are some of the difficulties that an Indian queer woman faces on an everyday basis?
I think that invisibility, I would say, especially because you specified Indian queer women. And I think a lot of Indian queer women and non-binary people, they they feel extremely invisible in the larger scheme of things. Like, take even for example Section 377, the law that used to criminalize unnatural sexual acts. Literally, even the law doesn't technically apply to women. Even that law was made to discriminate against queer men. So the fact that even the law that's supposed to suppress you doesn't even acknowledge your existence is like, am I even real? Like, even like, a lot of the portrayals of queer women in mainstream media and all of that is done in an extremely overly sexualized, and it's portrayed in through the lens of the male gaze. So basically, your relationship between two women or non-binary people ends up being more targeted towards how a man, a cisgender heterosexual man, would enjoy seeing it than anything that people from that community would actually want to see themselves represented as. So, you're not represented for yourself. There's barely an representation to begin with. You're really not spoken about, like, it's so unfathomable to some people that two women could do something together, two women could want to be together. So I'd say invisibility is a huge problem.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Yeah.
So have you ever been personally, subjected to homophobia? Um, have people, have you had such experiences in your own life?
Yes, I'm extremely lucky to say that I've not had anything particularly violent or particularly hateful happen to me. But I think the very act of being queer in our society, you are constantly subjected to homophobia in some way or the other. I don't even have to wait for someone to come, maybe tell me a slur, like, or be mean to me or something. I, you know, literally my entire life has been shaped because I've grown up as a minority, and because I've grown up as an outlier of society, and because my identity has not been openly acknowledged. I would be afraid of which, when I joined college, I was afraid of joining a certain college because I thought it would be orthodox. I was afraid of dressing the way that I wanted to because I was worried that I could end up getting kicked out of that college. I was worried about expressing myself too much and maybe being too open around certain people because I did not want their negative reactions and their homophobic reactions. I have to think three times before I talk to someone and judge them and think, will this person be cool with who I am? Because I'm quite outwardly also, I don't really look very, heterosexual. So it's a very, risky business because I've always worried about it happening. And there have been a few instances that have made me regret engaging with that person because clearly they were not in a mind space to engage with someone who's queer. Yeah.
Um, so my next question is about, a lot of us want to be better allies to the LGBTQIA plus community. And more often than not, we don't know the correct way to do it. We somehow, might make mistakes. So how can one show solidarity and be a better ally to the community? What are some of your
I
tips?
um I wouldn't say tips, I'd just say that treat them like you would treat any of your other friends, with the added exception of giving them a little more empathy and perhaps attempting to understand that everyday things, normal things that perhaps someone who's heterosexual or cisgender takes for granted is like literally would be like a dreamy privilege for us. So I would say that I would probably like say what my friends have done for me has been like pretty excellent because they don't blink when I probably say something like, yeah, my girlfriend, this, that. I think the best thing you can do is treat them as normally as you would if, regardless of their sexual orientation, regardless of whatever they've told you and how they identify, because I think at the end of the day, we just crave acceptance. We just crave feeling normal. We just crave having friends, having support. At times it'll be increased support that people from the LGBTQI community will need because they go through a lot more than someone who doesn't have to go through that kind of struggle. So yeah, I think there's plenty of resources online. Everyone keeps saying that like there's never like a lack of information. There's never a reason to say, hey, I don't know about that. If you don't know about it, it's extremely easy to Google it. And I always feel like it's pretty easy to be a good ally. As long as you want to, then I'm pretty sure you'll be able to. There's nothing more needed.
Absolutely. I think the last thing that you said is very powerful because a lot of times people who are not from the minority always expect the person from there to sort of educate them, which I think is not correct. There are resources out there and you should probably educate yourself on it and then sort of ask the person if that's okay or not okay and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think the responsibility and onus is on us. And yeah, so now coming to the representation of the community in the society, do you feel like the psychology of people towards the community has changed in the recent years? Have you seen some improvements, or and what do you hope for the future? What do you hope that people change so that the community can feel more included in society?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Like societal acceptance is, I think, the biggest step to take, the biggest hurdle to cross, because laws can change all they want, but when society accepts it more, that's when the quality of life really increases for members of the LGBTQI community. So I would say that it has changed because I'm an optimist. So I definitely think that in the Indian society is less homophobic than perhaps it used to be. There are people who are making an attempt to educate themselves more. There's organizations that are attempting to educate people, that are attempting to help people. So I think that's really amazing. I think, especially thanks to the internet and social media and people like you who take up these initiatives, it ends up spreading a lot more awareness than there was, like, just like a few years ago, let alone a few decades ago. So I absolutely think that, especially with our generation, it is changing. I always give a pass to the older generation for being a little ignorant about these things. They were genuinely not exposed to it. And I myself know how hard it is to sometimes change your mindset about certain things. So when it comes to older people, I expect acceptance from them, but perhaps with understanding and time and patience. But as someone who is my generation, who's as old as me, and who has access to the same resources as me, I would never, accept homophobia from them, because you have the chance to educate yourself. You've grown up in a generation that's so blessed and has so much exposure, and yet, you choose to spew hatred towards other people. It's unacceptable. So yeah, so I do hope that it's better.
I mean, that's the least we can expect from our community. I mean, at least our generation.
Yeah.
So now coming on to the fun stuff. So you create content on YouTube as well as on Instagram. So what made you decide on becoming a YouTuber and also decide on creating the kind of content that you're creating?
So I'll be honest with you, if maybe I lived in America or maybe I lived in an India that was less homophobic, and had more queer representation and real queer people who put themselves out there, I would not do this. I wouldn't see the need to. But I genuinely have spent years, trying to find good desi Indian brown queer content, that involve love stories between women and non-binary people. I really wanted to see it, and I never found it. I never felt like I saw myself on a screen. I never related to any love story that happened. I never related to any, uh, indie teenage drama that came up, because I always wanted something different. I always wanted something that reflected me. That's why people like watching movies and stuff, because it ends up, yeah, so it ends up being part of their personality, and I never saw that happening. So that's why I decided to create this kind of content. And also because when I started to look for content, I had the privilege of finding some really amazing YouTubers. All of them were like, white and living in like America and the United Kingdom and stuff like that. But the kind of content they put out was extremely relatable and funny. So I think what really normalized my own identity for myself was when I laughed about it. It was when I cracked jokes about it, like, like a played short joke, something like that. It was funny. So I wanted to create content that's funny, that's not exactly educational or informative or me telling people how to come out and giving them advice and all that. I don't think it's my place, but I do like cracking gay jokes, so I just decided to do that.
I think we're super grateful for you to doing that because I mean your content is absolutely refreshing and it just makes everything so easy to accept and to, coming from a person like you and, sharing your story and creating a joke on it and just making it very sort of easy to digest for people. I think we need more people, we need more representation like yours so that at least everyone in our generation can accept it fully and completely.
Yeah, I
So
do.
talking more about your videos, so what is the thought process that goes into making them, and how do you come up with the ideas? And do you have a favorite amongst the kind of content that you created? And also why? Why do you find it to be the best thing or the content that sort of stands out for you?
So initially I didn't plan to be very active on Instagram. My whole idea was to make YouTube videos, but YouTube videos take me a long time to make. It takes me like 3 or 4 days to finish shooting it and editing it and all of that. Like I had to teach myself how to do video editing, which I do not have the patience or the technological capabilities to do it very well, but I still try. So I think yeah, I think my process is usually like I'll just have an idea and I'll just ponder on it for a while, and I try to make something that's a little serious, a little informative, and then I try to make it as funny as I can. So that because I wouldn't want to watch something that isn't funny, so I wouldn't want to subject people also to watching something that's not funny. I don't see why anyone would want to watch that. So yeah, and then once I got on Instagram and one of my friends said, "Hey, Prarthana, make reels," and I'm like, "Reels?" Because like I wasn't too active on social media before starting this page, so I was like, I thought reels were really lame. But yeah, I decided to start doing them, and I really had fun making them. Like the best part about this is that I have a lot of fun making it, so I never mind too much about the outcome or anything else. And my
All
favorite
right.
content that I make, probably the YouTube videos, because I feel like I've actually done some work when I do that.
Okay. So my next question is, what does pride mean to you? I know this is like a really wide topic, but yeah, what does pride mean to you?
What does pride mean to me? Um, I think pride probably means just living openly and living without a fear of judgment. That's what it would mean. That's what it means to me. So I think pride is like the final stage in a self-acceptance a lot of times. You can accept yourself, you can tolerate yourself, you can understand yourself, but when you're proud of being something that's viewed as very not something to be very shameful by society and you decide, no, I'm going to be proud about it, I think, it's like a really big screw you to society. So that's what I would say that pride is for me personally. And yeah, it took me a while to get to a stage where I could feel proud about it, but yeah, it's definitely something uh, that I do now. So I'm really grateful for that.
Okay, so do you have any advice for people who are sort of struggling to accept who they are and who are sort of afraid to come out? Do you have any advice for them or a message to them so that makes it easier for them?
Um, Again, I don't like giving people advice usually because I hate when people give me advice because I'm just like, what do you know? But honestly, I'd always say that make yourself the priority. If there's a situation between picking someone else's priority, like your parents' priority for you or your friend's priority for you, what they think that you should do versus what you think that you should do, you should always do what you think you should do because you're the one who's going to have to live your life. So you might as well make your life something you would like to live.
All right. So I'm just quickly gonna go through the comment section if people have any questions for you. There are lots of comments. And
Yes.
I know a lot of people over there are relating to everything that you said.
Yeah. A few of my friends have joined in as well, so nice of them.
Listen more, talk less. I think that's good advice. Okay, guys, do you have any questions for Prarthana? She'd be happy to. She won't advise you, but she will, give her take
I'll crack a
on.
joke about your life problems. I think that's all I do. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about Girls Buzz, actually? I'd love to know more as well.
Yeah, so Girls Buzz is a platform, a sort of a safe space wherein we talk about inspirational stories. We create content for women every single day, so that people can come, learn something, take something away. And we also host expert sessions like yours, wherein people can get inspired by women who've done something for themselves and created a niche for in whichever field they are in. So yeah, and also our platform is meant for people to share their content as well. So in case you write, you want to create a vlog, you can do that. We also have something called as inner circle where people can ask questions, and then the community members can sort of answer them for them. We have a forum, so it's basically a space where people can feel included and safe and free to share whatever they want to share. So yeah, that's essentially what we're doing, and yeah, and
That's
and we're
amazing.
more than happy to be doing this because we get to talk about stories like yours, and
Yeah,
I think.
that's really amazing. I'm glad you taken that up.
All right. Someone's asking, is she single?
No, I'm not.
Okay. What's the secret of your smile and positivity?
Fake it till I make it.
Nice. Okay. All right. Someone's saying Girls Bus is amazing. Thank you. Indeed. All right. So do you have any message for all the women out there and for all the people who've joined
Someone
us
asked
tonight?
how long. Someone asked how long did it take you for you to reach a level of self-acceptance? Yeah. Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
How long did it take me? A long time. I think it's still happening. I think I still sometimes I look at my parents and I just feel guilty. Like, it would been so much nicer if I'd married a boy by now for them. But yeah, I think it's always a work in progress.
So I'm sure it gets better with time, right?
Definitely. I definitely think that it gets better with time. I definitely think that my parents have come to terms with it a little bit more over time. So yeah, I'm pretty grateful for that.
Okay, guys. Yeah, something similar on those lines. How to handle mommy and papa? Someone's asking.
How to handle mommy and papa.
Yeah, please.
Okay, how to handle mommy and papa. I don't know about your mommy and papa. I really don't know what they are like. I'm sure they're nice people. I'm sure if you're a little stubborn with them, they'll eventually accept it. But personally, how I handled my mommy and papa was I came out to them by accident. So I didn't intend to tell them. I intended to tell them when I was this age, when I was around 23, 24. But they ended up finding out when I was 18 because of my girlfriend at the time and I had a very intense relationship. So they figured out, they're like, Pratna, you don't have such close friendships. You hate everyone. What are you doing with this girl? Why are you spending so much time with her? So they sort of figured out, and initially my mother told me that it's just a phase and I should get over it. And I told her that she should probably educate herself more before she talks to me about it, and that she shouldn't spread that kind of negativity to me. So yeah, it's been like over the course of these 4 or 5 years, I must have had a total of 3 or 4 conversations with them ever about this whole thing. But every time I feel like they understood from that conversation that there was no way that they could change who I was. So I guess it sort of forced them to accept that I wouldn't ever marry a man. I don't know if they still accepted that I will one day marry a woman instead, but I think they're getting to that stage as well. So yeah, it takes time, and patience and understanding from your part as well, unfortunately.
Absolutely. I hope that answers your question. Who asked it? Okay, I don't know the name. All right. Guys, if you have any more questions, please shoot them to Prarthana. They are rushing for marriage. Okay, I think that's the same person.
Yeah.
I hope you find love acceptance. I mean,
Thank you.
okay. All right, so I don't think we have any more questions. Do you have any message for everyone out here, all the women out there, and
Yeah,
also people from the queer community?
I don't know, don't get coronavirus and stay at home and continue being gay and being an awesome woman. Yeah, I can't. Again, bad at giving advice. So yeah, thank you so much for having me, by the way. This is really fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing this. And guys, we'll be saving this session on Girls Pass India. So in case you missed out on it, please do come and check it out. And yeah, thank you, Prarthana, and thanks to everyone for joining in.
Yes,
Have a
thank you
nice
guys.
day.
Thank you for having me again.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.